So today I will be explaining about chemical coordination and integration. In chemical coordination and integration, you will be studying about hormones. Now, what are hormones? Hormones are non-nutritive molecules which act as a chemical messengers and are produced in very minute quantities in the scale of nanograms, and they bring about a physiological changes in the cells. Then, compared to nervous system has point-to-point connections, and therefore the impulse will pass through a particular path, whereas such type of point-to-point connections are not there in case of hormones. The nervous system gets innervated in organs or tissues, and therefore the nerve cannot enter or innervate each and every cell of the body in order to control the physiology. Therefore, in order to control the physiology of the cells, hormones exist. Now, hormones are slow in bringing about coordination, slow in bringing about the changes, whereas nerves are very fast in bringing about coordination, and even the physiological function brought about by nerves also is very fast. The function of the hormones lasts for a longer time, where the functions related to the nervous system last for a very short time. And hormones are generally derived either the hormones that are released from endocrine glands. Those endocrine glands will be derived from either ectoderm or mesoderm, whereas the nervous system are generally derived from ectoderm. And this is some of the difference between the hormones and nervous system. And therefore, in order to control the physiology of the entire body, it is both the hormones as well as nervous system. So it's called as neuroendocrine system. So therefore, they are chemical messengers, so non-nutritive, secreted by endocrine glands. So also you should know that endocrine glands are those glands that do not have ducts. So these glands don't have ducts. So these glands will release the hormones, and those hormones will directly reach to blood vessels, and they don't have any ducts. So any changes in the levels of the hormones can be detected in the blood. So next is hypothalamus glands. Hypothalamus glands regulates the functioning and controls the functioning of pituitary gland. There are two types of hormones released by hypothalamus gland. One is called as the releasing hormone, another is called as inhibiting hormone. Now, releasing hormone, as the name suggests, it will stimulate the pituitary to release its respective hormones. For example, of a releasing hormone is GnRH, and usually you know this name, releasing hormone is there. This will stimulate pituitary to release its own hormone called gonadotropin, which is nothing but FSH and LH. Then one more is inhibiting hormone. One of the example of inhibiting hormone is somatostatin. Now, somatostatin is actually the hormone released by hypothalamus, and it is inhibiting type of an hormone. What it does is inhibits pituitary. In what way it inhibits pituitary is prevents the pituitary from releasing growth hormone or from secreting growth hormone. So these were the two examples of releasing hormone and inhibiting hormone. So through these releasing hormone and inhibiting hormone, the hypothalamus gland will be controlling pituitary. Next is pituitary gland itself. Pituitary gland is called as a master gland. It controls most other glands of endocrine glands of the body. So it's called as a master gland. Now, pituitary, before explaining about pituitary gland, I want to explain the connection between pituitary gland and hypothalamus. Now, consider this a pituitary gland. Hypothalamus is just above the pituitary, and pituitary is further divided into anterior lobe, this is intermediate lobe, and posterior lobe. Pituitary is also called hypophysis. So anterior lobe is called adenohypophysis, posterior lobe is called neurohypophysis, and intermediate lobe is called pars intermedia. Now, hypothalamus is connected to pituitary. In what way it is connected to pituitary is, the hypothalamus consists of neurosecretory cells. The neurons that will release hormones are called as neurosecretory cells. So hypothalamus are made up of many neurosecretory cells. These neurosecretory cells will secrete the hormones. Now, the hormones secreted by these neurosecretory cells will reach anterior pituitary by blood vessels. So, for example, the connection between hypothalamus and anterior pituitary is a blood vessel connection, which is also called as hypophyseal portal system, where the hormones released by nerves will reach the anterior pituitary through blood vessels. Blood vessel connection is there. On the other hand, the hormones released by these nerves will reach to posterior pituitary directly through the nerves, because nerve cells will directly penetrate into posterior pituitary, and therefore hormones will be released there directly into posterior pituitary and not through blood and not through any portal systems. So this is the connection between hypothalamus and pituitary. Now coming to hormones released by anterior pituitary. So first is prolactin. It's also called as milk secreting hormone. This hormone will induce milk secretion during lactation. ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone, as the name suggests, it will stimulate cortex of adrenals to produce its hormones. Now thyroid stimulating hormone, it will stimulate thyroid to produce its hormones. FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, it has different functions in male and different functions in female. In female it helps in follicle development, whereas in male it will help in spermatogenesis. LH, luteinizing hormone, it has a different function in male as well as female. In female it will help in ovulation, and in male it will help and stimulate the Leydig cells to produce androgen called as testosterone. A growth hormone, the receptors of growth hormone present in almost most of the cells. It will help in growth. It will increase protein synthesis, it will increase muscle mass, it will increase muscular strength, it will increase height of an individual, and overall growth. So growth hormone deficiency leads to dwarfism in children, whereas growth hormone excessive secretion in children leads to gigantism later. So this completes hormones of anterior pituitary. Now hormones of let me explain now hormones of intermediate lobe of pituitary. Intermediate lobe of pituitary produces melanocyte stimulating hormone. This hormone stimulates melanocyte to produce melanin, and melanin provides dark pigmentation to the skin. And this is has a distinct function in amphibians, but it does not have a distinct function in human beings. It is like telling that it is non-functional in human beings. And the lobe also is highly reduced and is almost one with anterior pituitary. Now hormones of posterior pituitary, there are two, oxytocin and one more is vasopressin. Now these two hormones, oxytocin and vasopressin, they are not produced by pituitary. Instead they are produced by hypothalamus but stored in pituitary and then released in pituitary. Now first function, oxytocin. Oxytocin causes smooth muscle contraction. So where all its use is smooth muscles of uterus. When smooth muscles of uterus will contract, this leads to parturition. And there are also myoepithelium present on the covering the alveoli of the mammary glands, milk secreting units of the alveoli of mammary glands. It causes myoepithelial contraction. As a result, milk is ejected. So therefore it's also called as milk ejection hormone. It's also called as parturition hormone. The next hormone of hypothalamus that is stored in posterior pituitary is called as vasopressin. It's also called as ADH. According to this, what is the function of this hormone is, it causes reabsorption of water from distal convoluted tubule and collecting duct. As a result, it helps to save the water, conserve the water, and reduce the volume of urine. Now pineal gland produces a hormone called as melatonin. When melatonin concentration is more, person sleeps. When melatonin concentration in the blood is less, the person again wakes up. So sleep-wake cycle is controlled by melatonin. There is a hormone of pineal gland. It also, apart from this, it also has other functions like body temperature. Pigmentation means here pigmentation will not increase but instead decreases, lightens the pigmentation. And then menstrual cycle and defense capabilities. And thymus gland produces a hormone called thymosin. It is useful for development of human immune system, and it helps in maturation of T cells as well as production of antibodies. Thymus is well developed in children, but it is not developed in it is well developed in children, but after puberty it will slowly become non-functional, and therefore thymus, when removed from children, this leads to weakness in the immune system. But however, when thymus is removed, non-functional thymus is removed from adult, it does not affect the immune system. So this completes hormones and this respective glands till thymus.